There was a report issued by the doctors at Perkins. The court accepted the report and determined that Ms. Hoggle is still incompetent.
Was this a new report, David? And how often do these reports come into the judge?
Well, there should be a report. The statute requires a report at least every 6 months. When the court sets a date before the 6 months, there should be a follow-up report. So we usually get them, I would say, either 2 days to a week before the upcoming hearing.
Is there any change in the? Was there any change at all, any movement at all, according as you read the report?
Well, I can't speak to the details of the report, but I think it's fair to say that there has not been substantial change. And what we're dealing with are profound mental health issues here, so things change over the course of time. There may be a period of time where things are better and a period of time when things are worse, and I think that's reflected in the report.
What was the judge's point about the charges?
Well, I think what the judge was saying, there are 3 basic charges here. The first one that he mentioned, which is the detention of the children away from their father, we have well exceeded the maximum penalty for that charge. So even if there were a conviction, there wouldn't be any more jail time for that, because Ms. Hoggle would be entitled to credit for any time that she served, which she's been serving. In terms of the obstruction of justice charge, even though I think there is a greater maximum penalty than Ms. Hoggle has served thus far, it would be related to the first charge. It's really the second charge, or the third charge, I should say, as the judge noted. That's really the one that has a longer sentence than she has been detained. And so I think what the court was saying, and the judge will have to resolve it himself, but I think what he was saying to the state is, are you going to go forward on these charges that really may not mean anything at this point?
So what's the third charge, and what's the maximum on that?
I believe that the charge relates to obstruction and hindering in a police investigation, and I'm not sure, at least as I stand here now, which section she's charged under. So, but I think that obviously the maximum sentence is greater than what she's been serving.
According to Debbie, she was willing to show where the kids were, but you somehow interfered. Do you have any comment to that? Why that was so?
I don't know who Debbie is, but that's not true.
At the end of the hearing, you wanted to make sure the report was sealed, is that correct?
Yes.
Tell me why?
Well, there are, as you can imagine, we're dealing with mental health issues here. The court is the one that determines the substance and what the report means. It shouldn't be, as in any case dealing with mental health, it shouldn't be something that's open to public evaluation or scrutiny. There are statutes that cover this. It is typical that these reports are sealed. I was just making sure that the clerk was doing what they needed to do. I'm sure the judge was going to do it, but I wanted to make sure that the clerk did it.
And the judge set a date of September 27th.
Yes.
If she's restorable before that, are you getting reports in between these hearings?
The doctors deal with her on a daily basis. If they believe that she is competent, they're obligated to report that to the court. I assume that the court will then set a hearing relatively quickly, and we'll be back in court to set a trial date.
You're not an expert, but do you think that she's getting any better?
I can't say. I am not a doctor. I think that there are things that have been consistent since her original detention in this case. There are things that have changed, but I certainly don't have the expertise to opine on whether she's getting better or worse. I leave that to the good doctors at Perkins.
What are these things that have changed? Do they make are they significant at all?
Again, I don't have the expertise to talk about whether or not they're significant. The doctors have tried different medications. They've tried different combinations of medications. There have been different therapies. There have been all kinds of various things that have been tried over the course of her almost 2 years detained. The doctors do what they need to do. I mean, I can't really comment on how those work.
David, the third charge, which carries the most
Yes.
jail time at this point, how soon are we going to get to that?
Before anyone can be tried in the United States, they have to be competent. Doesn't matter what the charge is.
Right.
So we're not even at square one at this point.
But if we're talking about her being detained for as long as the limitations for the other 2 charges, What is the limitation? What is the limitation for third charge?
That's going to be a determination that the court's going to have to make later. There are other factors that come in, as I think we talked about on another occasion. There are times where if people are not deemed to be competent for certain charges over a certain period of time, then those charges have to be dismissed because the presumption becomes that they are not restorable. That is not what the doctors are saying now. They're saying that she is restorable, and we haven't hit those time limits. And I believe that it's 3 years on misdemeanors and 5 years on felonies. We're not there yet, so we proceed as the statute requires us to proceed, and that is periodic evaluations, status hearings to determine competency, and then we go forward.